Texas Math Mundo audience, we're in store for an extraordinary treat today. We have Mr. Keith Taylor, both a champion back in his school days, 1990, 1991, Texas UIL Calculator State Champion, Class 2A from Van Horn High School, a proud Eagle, Keith Taylor, State Champion, but also a present-day legendary coach of the Sabine Gladewater Cardinals team, who just recently won the 2022 State Champion in Class 3A, a math and calculator. So, Keith Taylor, an awesome legendary coach and a student. Two wonderful perspectives from the same guy. It's going to be a wonderful treat for us to hear his perspective on UIL. Let me pause for a moment and ask that if you enjoy this sort of material, that you please hit the subscription button and the notification bell, smash that like button, and make a comment below. It really helps me with the YouTube algorithm. We have Keith Taylor, champion student, champion coach, right ahead. My name is Saul Cantu, and this is Texas Math Mundo. Audience, are we in store for an extraordinary treat today? In the house, we have a former state champion, the year 1990 and 1991, Texas UIL Calculator Applications State Champion, Class 2A from Van Horn High School, a proud Eagle, Mr. Keith Taylor. But that's not all. Mr. Keith Taylor is also a legendary coach. He's the coach at Sabine Gladewater High School, a Cardinal, and just recently, at the recently concluded 2022 state meet, his team won the state title in calculator and in mathematics. And it was a team consisting mostly of females. So not only do we have a former state champion, we have a state champion coach. I look very forward to this perspective. Welcome, Mr. Keith Taylor.
Good afternoon.
Hey.
How are you today?
Hey, I'm so happy you're here. You provide such a unique perspective, both as a former champion yourself and also as a champion coach. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Well, good. I am too.
Great. Let's start off with just asking, hey, how you doing?
I'm good. Trying to unwind after a hard push to get ready for Austin and winding the school year down, but I'm doing good.
Yes, absolutely. And so, since we just recently concluded the 2022 state meet, I want to ask, what are your thoughts about the recently concluded state meet? Your team did awesome.
Well, first of all, every kid that I took this year, as it was the case with most schools, this was the first time for most of these kids to ever go to Austin because of COVID. So I was so excited to be back in Austin. And just everything that we've talked to them about, like, hey, you want to work your way so you can get up on that stage. Well, they didn't know what stage I was talking about. And they had never had a medal draped over their neck, even last year when they won. I draped it over their neck, but Larry White didn't, and Cliff McCurdy didn't, and David Burrell didn't, stuff like that. So it was good to have them back up there. I was very proud of the kids. Our goal was to win all three: number sense, math, and calculator. That's our goal every year. It doesn't always happen. But we were runner-ups in number sense, and we were fortunate to win calculator and math. And just a good team effort. Real proud of the kids, and it was a good time.
You make a great point, man. There's no substitute for being there in person. It's just so great to be back there. The electricity in the air, just the environment, so lively. So it's really that added treat to be there in the same room with all the greatest minds in the state. That's just no substitute for that experience.
It is. And normally I have older kids that can kind of back me up when I'm telling the younger ones about how special it is. But I didn't have that this time, because we haven't had it. And my seniors, they were sophomores, and they were supposed to go when it got canceled. And so they had at least heard about it. But that was the closest we came to having kids that knew about it. So I'm glad now they can pass that on and tell each other about it. It's a good motivation.
Oh, absolutely. So we're going to get deep into this UIL season. We're going to get deep into your past championships as a student yourself. But before we start that, I always like to ask, when not engaged in work and UIL, which I'm sure is the lion's share of your time, what are your hobbies and interests?
Man, I enjoy things outside of math. I love math, but my list is not long. I think it comes down to my relationship with Jesus Christ and my involvement in church. I'm very active in our church, my family, and I got 2 boys and a wife. And outside of that, like if I'm going to rest my mind and kind of recharge myself, it's fishing. I love to bass fish, fish tournaments. Sometimes I do okay. Sometimes I don't do very good, but I like getting out on the lake and enjoying nature that way. And so, and I enjoy, hope my wife didn't see this, but I enjoy, she looks up on Pinterest and comes up with all these projects for me to do. So I enjoy woodworking as well. I build stuff for her, but she'll give me a long list if she knows I like it. So.
Oh, that's great, man. Fishing and doing the to-do list from the wife. That's great. Sounds like a good time. So home's out there in Sabine?
Yes, sir.
All right. So where is Sabine High School?
If you know where Tyler and Longview is, it's right off the interstate between Tyler and Longview, but it's about 2 hours east of Dallas on I-20.
Okay, cool. So that's home. Wow. But, so you're the champion, 1990, 1991 calculator, and runner-up, I should add, in 89. You were the
Correct.
runner-up in 89. So where are you from, born and raised, and what's your cultural heritage?
I've been very fortunate with my experiences, and my parents raised me to be content where I was at. And so I was born in Dallas while my dad was in seminary. My dad was a pastor, but I didn't live there hardly at all. I lived in Houston for a few years in my young years. Then we moved to Van Horn. So I pretty much grew up in Van Horn, Texas, got there in 4th grade, graduated high school there. Loved every second of it. Van Horn's different. There's not much to do. And so you learn to value your friendships and family and calculator. That was something for me to do. And I played some sports. But I loved being from Van Horn. And then from there I went to college at Texas A&M and, bought into being an Aggie and loved all of that. When I graduated from there, I stayed there in College Station, Bryan, and was a coach at Bryan High. I coached basketball for 22 years.
Oh, wow.
And, during that time I did not do UIL. I had overlapped a little bit at the end, but I stayed there. Then I made my way via coaching out to East Texas. And my boys, who are now both, one of them just graduated from A&M, the others are going to be a senior at A&M, who also did UIL. They were born and raised. They were born in College Station, but they didn't even live there a year. We moved out here to East Texas, and so they were raised here, and they graduated from Sabine High as well.
Proud papa.
Very, very proud.
Awesome. Hey, so when did you realize that you yourself had a talent for mathematics?
I when I liked math and I was pretty good at school. And I think it was seventh grade, a teacher named Dusty Lusk, who was out there at Van Horn. She's still out in that West Texas area, I believe Midland, but she's out there in that area. She kind of got me interested in stuff like that. And she saw, just like I try to do now, but she saw some stuff in me that I didn't really pay attention to. I was just a kid that tried to do what I could do and make good grades and follow the rules, etc. But she kind of got me interested in it. And she handed me off to a guy at the high school named Bo Buhorn, which you want to talk about legends. He was a legend coach, and he was a calculator coach. And he's the one that really developed my love for math. He wasn't even a math teacher. He was a science teacher, but he did the calculator. And through calculator, I really started, enjoying math. And I love sports. And so I decided to teach and to coach. And, I teach math. I've always taught math. And I coached basketball. And so kind of blended some things together that were important to me. So that's where it all started. There's other people that have helped me as a coach, but that's where it kind of got me going as a kid.
So Miss Lusk. And what was the name of the gentleman? The Buhorn?
Oh, Buhorn.
Okay, cool. So what was your introduction to competitive mathematics?
I did a little bit in middle school, but we didn't have a much of a team in middle school. But in high school, Mr. Buhorn got me really quick as a freshman, put a calculator in my hand, and I kind of messed around, with it as a freshman. And, just didn't think much of it, didn't really understand the big picture of things, but heard him talking even that year. He had a state champion just a year or two prior to that. And that kind of caught my interest, even what that was. But by the time I got to be a sophomore, I ended up making his team, and that's the year, just kind of out of nowhere. I just kind of got better and better as the year went on. But I ended up just almost in my mind, kind of accidentally, just peaking at the right time and making it, to out of regionals. I was the district champ and the regional champ, and then second in the state that year. And that kind of caught me off guard. But probably at that point in time that I was like, all right, I'm winning next year.
Wow.
And I went to try to win it.
Wow. So what were your study habits then? What was your practice regimen? Did y'all go to a lot of tournaments in those days?
We did. He took us, we probably went to, just to guess, 10 to 12 a year. Oh, wow. Of course, that included district and regionals and TMSCA state. It was but in San Antonio still. That was a grand trip. What was different about that is probably 3 to 4 times a year, myself and a couple of friends, we would get off the basketball bus because our trips out there, a short trip was 3 hours. We'd get off the basketball bus at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. and the UIL bus would be waiting on us, and we would hop from one bus to the other bus, and we would drive from there to Ozona, which is 5 hours away, or to Junction, or to San Angelo, or to El Paso was a close trip, and that was 2.5 hours on a bus. Wow. So we drove all over. We spent a lot of time on that bus. And,
those distances out in West Texas are long. Yeah, I can imagine.
It was.
I can feel the West Texas in you, by the way. That's a compliment. You know what I'm saying? I can feel the West Texas. And you're molded by that West Texas sun.
My boys, they're not even from there. But if you talk to them, they talk about Van Horn all the time. They've been fortunate to go back every spring break of their lives to a ranch out there that some people let us go and stay on and hike and hunt and stuff. And so they feel like they're from Van Horn as well.
Oh, that must be boy heaven.
It is. Chasing rabbits.
Absolutely.
All sorts of stuff.
And that's very refreshing in today's digital world with cell phones in their faces and short attention spans. It's very refreshing to know that people go out there, enjoy the outdoors, and doing old school, boy stuff,
My boys are up to date on technology to a degree, but we had a saying in the house of video games are from the devil. We didn't do much. I know that's not true, but we just didn't do very much with that kind of stuff. We went outside.
Absolutely, man. So who inspired you? Was it Mr. Buhorn?
Yeah.
And so that's who shaped your value system and inspired you, your parents as well?
Well, Mr. Buhorn was the spark behind the calculator. Okay. My value system, my parenting style, my spiritual beliefs, everything else. My parents are irreplaceable when it comes to that. They were a huge part of my life. They supported me in, the things that I tried to do, including UIL.
Awesome.
So I'm very fortunate in that regards. The 22 years that I coached, my dad, he was still a pastor, but he went and scouted hundreds of games for me, and they made a bunch of games. And so that's definitely the people that have impacted me when it comes to that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So can you describe Van Horn High School in the late 80s and early 90s?
Well, it was one long hall, or it seemed long at that time. That building is no longer there.
Oh.
We used to drive by and show my boys when they were younger, but they've consolidated in that building. It's a new building, very nice building, but it kind of houses. It's even smaller now than the school. It's 1A now.
Oh.
And it's smaller now than when I was there. But we were a decent sized 2A, not a real big, but decent sized 2A. But one long hallway, and one end was the gym, the other end was the parking lot, and all the classes in between. And it's just like any place else. It was the people inside it that made it. I was very fortunate to have good teachers. So
you did a shout out to Mr. Buhorn, which is great. Any other adults or any teammates, or were you just a solo guy in those days? Did you have a teammates? Want to do a shout out to them?
We Lucky Mendez, Lorena Juarez, and Eddie. Man, we had like 3 Eddies that grade. I cannot remember that Eddie's last name. I always try to think of that. And but it was the 4 of us. There was a few others, but those were the 4 that we tried hard to get to state as a team, but we just couldn't get it. We'd get second at regional. At that time, only the first place team went. And so we never made it as a team. And so that was one of my first goals when I started coaching, because I love teamwork. And so I wanted to win as a team, even more than having individuals win. I wanted our teams to win. I know it's the point value in the UIL system's higher for individuals, but the team is my favorite.
Well, a couple of things. I'm sure they were very proud of you when you advanced as an individual. You know what I'm saying? And also, since you came out second in region, I was going to ask about rivalries in those days. Did you have any rivalries, either locally, regionally, or statewide at all in those days for Van Horn?
We didn't have the phones like the kids have now. My kids will tell me how they'll through whatever kind of social media, they'll instantly tell me how some of our opponents did out and all over the state. After a meet, we didn't have that luxury. We had to wait, get a newspaper. But the one name was Shallowater High School. That's all I could hear from Mr. Buhorn was, we were trying to get, make sure we could beat Shallowater, try to catch up with Shallowater. That's the only name in my mind that I remember.
Oh, wow. So, you said that Mr. Buhorn put a calculator in your hand. Do you remember which calculator it was?
HP 11C.
Really?
Let's see.
You're about to show it to me, I hope.
The kids laugh at this.
Really? That's awesome. That's awesome. The HP 11C, man. That was the calculator back in those days, wasn't it?
I guess so. It worked. It worked a lot the same way the HPs work now. I mean, HP made a good calculator then, and honestly, they haven't changed it a whole lot. Now they've got some stuff with HP Prime that's different, but these calculators are made a lot the same.
So is that the actual physical calculator that you had at state and won state with?
That's it.
That's it. Really, the same one.
The same one. I keep it with me. I use the ones that the kids use now, just so I can make sure that I'm up to date with it and stuff. But,
does it still work?
Oh yes.
Really?
The batteries. I noticed the other day the battery's out of it, but yeah, I used it as recently as last year because I were wanting to see how it worked. And stuff.
Wow.
Like, it's the same thing. I was like, yeah.
That's awesome. So, how does it feel to be an individual state champion? How does that feel? Now, you're number 1.
I tell the kids, it's one of the things I try to motivate them with, that if you achieve it, that it's a special feeling, and it's something that when it happened, it was kind of surreal for a little bit, and then it kind of settled in, and I thought, oh my goodness, because you don't achieve it accidentally. I don't know of anybody that achieved it just on a, hey man, I just had a lucky day. Now there's many people that deserve, and I've had them. I had some this year that deserve. They put in the work it takes to be first place. But along with the work, it does take a lucky day and a lucky break. Because there's probably this year, in my opinion, there was I had 4 kids in calculator that any one of them could have won, and there was about 3 to 4 from other schools. So there was about 6 to 8 kids that had the ability to be the state champion this year. And fortunately, one of my kids did that. But then I had 3 others that had the ability too that didn't. And so it's a very special feeling. And as I got older, it's meant more to me, especially working with the kids. And it kind of reminds me of, oh yeah, you did go up there to school. Mr. Buhorn would make himself available at nighttime. And so we would practice 7 to 9 every Monday.
Wow.
But he would go any night.
Wow.
He would be up there any night that you wanted him to go up there. But we didn't have time cut out during the school day like schools try to do now.
Do you have a class now, or do you all do it all after school now?
I meet kids here at about 6:30 in the morning.
Wow.
That's how dedicated they are. There's kids that come in to get extra. And then we have an activity period, during the day that, when they're not doing other kinds of meetings or something like that we work on it. And then I'll stay here after school with kids that want to stay. So my days are long. We do that most of the year. Every once in a while, I can't stay after school for some reason, but the kids especially the kids that are doing 2 or 3 events, they know they got to find the time to get in. We'll even do some work in the summertime.
So, what is your favorite memory from those days at Van Horn? What's the favorite memory? Was it that medal around your neck?
That definitely probably the most special thing, because I always tell the kids, once that happens, it can't be taken away. It's yours. You earned it. But Mr. Buhorn took care of us with food on these meets, and he liked to make sure that we were taken care of. I try to take care of my kids too. I think I picked that up from him. But one of the things he did one year was he said, all right, every time that we go and we win, meaning win calculator, we'll get a scoop of ice cream. And so, by the time you won the third, that was 3 scoops. It didn't always work out on West Texas that you would pass up an ice cream place, so we didn't get it every time. But that year that I went and we won state, I had taken a buddy that was alternate up there, so there was 2 of us. And that was our 13th time to have, somebody win that year.
Wow.
And he bought us 13 scoops of ice cream.
Wow.
I don't have any clue. I love ice cream, but I doubt I ate it all. But he bought us 13 scoops of ice cream. And as a high school boy, I remember that being pretty cool.
What a memory. What a memory, man. That's great. That's great. So I'm very impressed by your backdrop. All those gold medals, man. That's so great. Where do you keep your gold medals, the ones you won individually back in 1990 and 91?
Well, when I started here a while back, I would talk to the kids about, we pretty quick, I explained the whole, hey, you got to get out of district, to get to regionals. You got to get out of regionals to get to state. But I started talking about these state medals, and they looked at me like, yeah, whatever. So I said, you know what, I'm going to bring mine up. Mine are right over here on the wall next to me. I can send you a picture of that.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's instant credit. That's instant credit.
I told him, I said, look, these are what we're working for. And these behind me, what I decided to do is, you get down there to Austin, the first time we won any medals, those medals are well-deserved by the kids, and they go to the kids. But as I'm getting older, my memory kind of, starts to get full, is what I say, and I don't have much room for anything else. So I wanted a way to look back and kind of count my kids. So I order a replica of each of the medal that the kids have. So if we get each one of these behind me is a first through third, not that the 4th through 6 aren't important, but I decided I'm going to cut it off at 3. And so they represent either a first place team, second place team, first place individual, second place, and then on the back of it, I have what it is and the year and the kid's name, just to help my old memory. And so it's really special. When I need a little motivation, I look back through that, look through the kids that, have what they've accomplished, and what they're accomplishing now as young adults, it's pretty good motivation for me.
That is awesome. I've never heard. That's so awesome. So each of those is a replica to remember a specific team and a specific individual that you've
Yeah.
coached throughout the years.
Yes.
Oh, that's incredible, man. I love it. I love it. You know what I'm saying? That's great. And it's good motivation. Awesome, awesome. I'm sure the kids are impressed by that. Wow. Hey, you're going to have to get a lot of medals this year.
Yeah. Yep. Like quite a few.
So you went to A&M. What did you get your degree in? And did your UIL experience help you with that journey?
It sure did. My degree's in mathematics, and then I got certified. So I ended up with double major in mathematics and kinesiology. And I went there and I had a scholarship to be a math major. And that was through my involvement in UIL. And, my school, I've mentioned it was a small school. And even though I had excellent teachers, a small school, we didn't have all the advanced classes and all that. And so I get to A&M and those classes are overwhelming. And I, to this day, will testify to the kids that my involvement in UIL and my learning how to study at a deeper level, my learning how to work with teammates, my learning how to test under pressure, how to handle success, how to handle defeat, all that is really, I think, what helped me make it through A&M, because it was not easy. And so about partway through, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and get some classes in coaching as well. And that's when I kind of doubled up on the kinesiology and got a teaching certificate with the math.
Oh, wow, wow. So you said you spent like 20 years coaching. What school was it?
I coached at Bryan High basketball. I did a little, middle school football like basketball coaches will do periodically, not all the time, but at Bryan High, at Longview High School, at Spring Hill, and then I've been here. This is my 11th year here at Sabine High School.
So how did you get into that UIL, math, the academics?
Well, I was at when I came here to Sabine. At that point in time, there was a guy here that knew I had done it. He knew Bo Buhorn, so through that he knew me. I didn't know him, but he knew me, and he kind of ratted me out. I was trying to hide. Not that it didn't mean a lot to me, but I was busy enough with basketball. But he kind of put it in my mind, and they knew it. My boys, they were in 7th grade or so, and I looked in, we just had, we didn't even place in district in the math events here at our school. And, there's just wasn't anybody that really wanted to do it. So I went to the principal and told him that, I'll do calculator. I can't go to the meets because I'm too busy, but I'll do calculator. Well, all it took was that one spring of me helping some kids at calculator. And the next year I was like, okay, I'm not going to fiddle with this. We're going to be good. And then so we started at it, and from there it kind of grew. The next year I said, okay, I'll do number sense as well. And by that time, one of my boys became a freshman, and by the end of that year, I was doing all 3 events and been doing all 3 of them.
Hey,
and so
that pride and that competitive juices get flowing once you get back into it, man.
And I overlapped doing that along with basketball for several years, and that was rough.
Yeah.
But I just reached a time where I'm so thankful that I coached sports. I enjoyed it. I still love sports. But it was the right time for me to make that move and get out of the coaching, and had good quality people here to replace me with what I was doing in the coaching world. And it's allowed me to, spend even more time with the math team. And I think a lot of my coaching background there helps me, as a academic coach. A lot of times they're coach, this isn't sports, right? Yeah, but we're going to treat it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have any favorite teams throughout the years, these past 11 years as coach?
You're talking about UIL teams?
Yeah.
And if I picked that, I'd get some texts and phone calls and all that.
Yeah, there'd be controversy.
There'd
be controversy.
My boys, having them was really special, and they were good, and so that helped, make good teams. And when they got ready to graduate, I was really afraid. Not that I didn't enjoy the other kids, but I was afraid that I might lose the luster a little bit, just the spark a little bit. But I haven't, not at all. And that just shows you the kind of kids that were with them and that replaced them. So it's the day that the kids aren't putting into it is probably the day that I'll go ahead head towards fishing more. But the kids, when they're putting all their effort into it, they're coming up at 6:30 in the morning and they're giving up 13. We went to 13 meets, I think, this year. They're giving up those Saturdays and giving up nighttime and all that. They're really good to me.
What I really need to ask you is this, because you were at the state meet recently. I saw you. It was such a pleasurable thing to meet you. But it's still overwhelmingly male dominated. There's plenty of very strong females, no doubt, but it's still overwhelmingly male dominated scene to a certain extent. You had 3 girls, and you do have that young man also, but that just won state on girl power basically. How did you recruit these girls? How are you so successful with these young ladies?
When we first started, we had all boys and 1 girl, and we called her the queen because she was the only girl, and she kind of told us all what to do in her quiet little way. And then they graduated, and lo and behold, it's been all girls and a couple of boys here or there. I graduated a boy 2 years ago, and I got the one this year, Carter Boone, and he was an important part of what we did. But they do take very much pride in that. In fact, they wanted to have some shirts made to wear. I don't even remember what they were, but something about girl power. And
don't tell me they're going to be pink. Don't tell me they're going to be pink shirts.
I don't know. We never got that far. We were studying too much. But the Number Sense team this year was all girls, and like they pointed out to me, there was only 2 girls outside. And mine was one of them. There was only 2 girls individually that got on the stage this year at Number Sense. And one of them was Amelia Miller for me, and then another girl that was, I don't even remember, 4A, 5A.
Stacey Zhang?
I think so. They got second, maybe?
Yeah, Stacey Zhang from 4A, yeah.
Okay. That would be her. That was it. And then our team pops up, and we're 4 girls. And in Calculator, my top 3 scores were, number 1, 2, and 3 in the state were all girls. And so they take a lot of pride in that.
That's
incredible. I have a few guys coming up. And so we hope to mix in a few guys. We'll have a better blend the next few years. But
this team. So is anybody graduating? Is your team coming back intact?
No, I have 3 seniors.
Oh,
those 3 seniors took up 7 of our 12 spots on the 3 teams. So we're losing quite a bit this year. So we have talked about that all year long. That these young kids, they're going to have to really step it up. We have a lot of work to do. So they worked on it this year, and I hope that they'll continue to work.
Talking about rivalries, Mission Collegiate's going down to 3A next year.
Oh, yeah, we already know.
That's going to be an interesting battle, man. But they're Region 4, you're Region 2?
Yes, sir.
So Region 2, so you wouldn't encounter each other till state, but that's a looming battle. Mm-hmm. Hey, I do want you to do me a favor. Advertise your summer camp. I hear wonders about your summer camp. You want to get coached by the best? Go to Keith Taylor's summer camp. But tell me about it.
It's even going to be better this year than it normally is. We had to kind of regrowing it a little bit because 2 years ago we were about to have it, and COVID hit. Last year we didn't know if we were going to be able to have it to the very end, and we did, but we had to really keep our numbers small just to spread out and stuff like that. So this year I'm hoping, and partly for my fault for 2 reasons. One, even around Christmas time, we weren't sure if we were going to be able to do it because COVID was kind of going through the area again. But then UIL hit, and I just had to put it on the back burner because we had other things to do. So I'm just now really getting around to pushing, the camp. I'm hoping we can get people in because I got some fantastic presenters coming in. Cliff McCurdy, who writes the math test.
Oh, wow. Heavy hitters.
Oh, he just has. He doesn't act like it, but he's got so much knowledge to share. Larry White, who writes the Number Sense test, is going to be here. Juan and Javier Garcia, who have the Education Academy that from Edinburgh North, they're coming this year, and I've just recently met them, and they're phenomenal people. I enjoyed talking to them. And so I look forward to really getting to know them at camp this year. Audrey Craven.
All-star cast. That's an
Yeah.
all-star cast. Not to mention you.
I'm down at the bottom. I'm going to be turning the lights on and off and all that kind of stuff. Audrey Cravens from Watexo, 10 straight championships. She's going to be teaching Andy Spear from Highland Park, I just call him the math genius because that's what he is.
Wow, that's an all-star camp. That's a camp. That's a camp.
Yeah. It's June 3rd. I'm doing middle school on June 13th and 14th, and high school on June 15th and 16th.
If I'm a parent, I'm jotting this down. I'm contacting you, and I'm getting my kids signed up, man, because that's an all-star cast you got out there, man. That's gonna be magnificent.
Awesome. It's really a fun time.
Awesome.
It's neat to see the kids get together. My favorite part is, we put the problem in front of these great minds, and just to see how the kids handle it. You would think they all do it the same way, and they don't. They go about it different ways, and they share their ideas, and that's probably my favorite part.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So you have two perspectives for us: that of a former student champion yourself, and of a coach, as a championship coach. I'd like you to give two groups a piece of advice, some advice. First, what advice would you give fellow coaches?
I think that my kids know that I care, and fortunately, things went well for us early on, and so I got some early buy-in, and that helps a lot. I'm not going to deny that. But when they know that you care, just like in sports and everything else, teachers in a regular classroom, they have a tendency to, lend you their ear a little bit better. And, I get asked all the time, oh, what's the secret? And I get asked about what's the calculator. It's not the calculator. There's so many different calculators that win, and there's so many different ways that you can do a practice. But getting the kids to buy in, getting the kids to believe that they can do it, to want to do it, to even put it on their radar, because it takes a lot of time, a lot of sacrifice. Outside of that, I think our number one thing that we do is, I push and sell and promote that we're only going to be as good as you helping your teammate. There's too many of them and not enough of me. And like I said, my brain's full. So, I'm trying to learn, and I'm trying to present them some new stuff, but I really rely on my kids to help teach each other and stuff and grow. So that's what I would tell the coaches. It's not, I think a lot of coaches early on, they're looking for the shortcut, and there's not a shortcut. There never is. If you're at a high level of success in life, you didn't get there on a shortcut. You worked hard for it. And so when you look around the state and you think these guys, whatever school it is that you happen to be looking at, gets it easy, that's not the case.
Wow, great message, great man. Put the work in. You have to put the work in. Oh, wow. So what advice would you have for today's students?
And today, there's just so many more things for them to do. I told you earlier, calculator practice, in Van Horn, Texas, back in 1989, that was pretty fancy. Mm-hmm. We might could even get a Dr. Pepper out of the machine. So that was, a highlight of the day. Now they have so many things that they can do on their phone, at their house, not to mention, all the sports, school and outside of school and events. There's just so many more things pulling their attention. But I always go back to something I heard a coach tell the kids, if you want to get something special, you got to give something special. And there's lots of things that they can get that aren't that special, and they'll come pretty easy. But, I just try to explain to them, if you want to really enjoy something and feel that specialness that comes with it, then you're going to have to put in some time and be giving and be a good listener. That's one of the things that some of the kids have to early on, they're wondering why their scores aren't going up. They'll finally come ask, and I'll say, hey, every time I start to say something or teammates start to say something, you're the first one to open your mouth to try to tell us what you did. You need to learn to listen and listen to what other people are doing. Not that your ways are going to be bad, but listen first, then process it. So that's what I would tell the kids. It's worth it in the long run. And I tell you, every one of mine, they take pride. We call each other nerds, but every one of them in my school, every kid on my team this year, except for one, was involved in 1 to 2 sports. The one that wasn't was our drum major. She was one of the girls there at state. She also teaches piano lessons. I have dancers on the team, cheerleaders on the team. And our kids stay busy. They have a life outside of this, but they choose to spend time in that area. And so I think a lot of times kids think that everything's got to shut down in life just to be that good. No, you just got to be wise with your time and smart with your time and efficient with your time. But my kids do plenty of other things.
You know, those 80s West Texas values are still important today. I don't care. You know, it could be the late 80s in West Texas. It could be now. You're not going to hide from work. And those values still are very important. You know?
Lots of things change, but values, morals, spiritual beliefs, if those are changing, something's not right.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I can hear it. Yes, absolutely. So you have a long and what an incredible UIL journey you've had, you know, as a student, as a coach, and it continues. And I imagine it's going to continue for a long while longer, hopefully. What do you value the most about your UIL journey?
Just like in coaching, you know, I can remember some wins and stuff like that in coaching, but the relationship with the players and other coaches, you know, that's by far, like I said, the day that I'm not feeling that same vibe with the kids that I feel now, I just don't think I could do it. And, you know, I just like anybody else, there's things that pop up on my radar of other opportunities that I could have, both within coaching and outside of coaching. But, you know, my kids, they really pour into what we do, and that feeds me. And so, you know, I like being around them. And, you know, that's my favorite part is what, you know, that's exactly why I got these medals that are behind me, is so that I can flip them over every once in a while and just remind me of those kids and check up on them and see how they're doing. I enjoy seeing how well they're doing now. You know, some of them are already graduated and have jobs and are doing fantastic. And, you know, a lot of them are at the end of their college. So that's really neat to me. That's my favorite part.
Awesome. Beautiful. So what does the future hold for you, Keith Taylor, 2-time state champion, legendary coach? What's in your future?
Well, right now I got a summer coming up. I'm looking forward to that. I got to get camp ready. Sabine, our school, our administration, the people here, they've been very good to my wife and I. You know, when you come into a little community, you're obviously an outsider. But we were just kind of the way that we were raised. When you go to be a part of something, you're a part of it. And I instantly, when I came here and got hired as a basketball coach, I brought my sons with me and told them, as soon as y'all got a job for my wife, she's a teacher, that'll be great. She was with us by the end of the year. This is home. You know, my boys graduated from here. And they love it here. So, you know, you never know what God has in store. I've learned that I'm not going to paint my exact plan, because then he'll for sure change it just to remind me that he's in charge and I'm not in charge. But, you know, I have no reason to not believe that this is not where I'll finish up. You know, now the day that this school doesn't value the UIL, and, you know, don't get me wrong, I teach plenty of classes and I try to do a good job of that. And I think my boys got a very good education here. But at this point in time, what really keeps me going competitively and getting better is the UIL. And this school really puts a lot of emphasis on it. And, you know, they're not going to just say, yeah, y'all go do it. They support us and encourage it and brag on it, those kind of things. So, and the community's proud of it as well. So, you know, my plans are to coach here, and until I don't want to be one of those coaches or teachers that is cheating the students. So when I lose that drive and that energy to be, you know, real good, and, you know, I'm not enjoying it every day, I'm not going to cheat the kids. I'll let somebody else do it.
I feel you, man. So
right now I'm good.
If I'm a parent, I'm very happy. You paint a very good picture right now of the way Sabine High School Gladewater is. So that looks like a good environment. That looks like a very good environment for you. So,
you know, we all have our ups and downs. But I taught my boys, if you're always looking for the grass to be greener on the other side, you know, it's a rough way to live, because it's always going to appear that way. But like I said, you know, we got our issues like every other place would, but we try to work them out and go on. And again, the people here, the administration, I think their heart's in the right spot, and that's to try to help our kids.
Good. Awesome. So, any parting words or final thoughts as we conclude this interview?
I can't express my thankfulness enough for me when I was a student, and then you fast forward it, what it did for my two sons. Their story's the same, and now as a coach to Team SCA, UIL, I love those organizations, and they've been a big part of my life. And guys like you that are trying to give back to it, that's why I'm doing this, because it's not my cup of tea. I like getting up here 6:30 when nobody's around, nobody, kind of behind the scenes type worker. And so, but my wife, she said, no, you need to do that. They're promoting, UIL, they're promoting things that you believe in. So I appreciate you a lot. Anybody like you, but all those guys that work, the Cliff McCurdy's and Larry Whites and David Burrells, and man, those guys, without them, our events wouldn't be the same. So I really appreciate all them as well.
Especially because of that, because, a lot of great coaches, like legendary coaches, a lot of the legends, they're not as comfortable in the spotlight. So I try to shine a little spotlight on them, man. So I'm very appreciative that you were agreeable, and I agree with your wife. We need to promote this, and I'm happy that you got in front of the camera, just for a moment anyways. I'm glad you got in front of the camera and shared your perspective, because it's such a valuable perspective, I had the wonderful opportunity. I've heard the name, I've heard the legends, but this past state meet, I had the opportunity to go and shake your hand and meet you. And the pleasure was all mine, man. I really appreciate meeting you. I like the vibe you put out. I hope you continue doing the great work. Former state champion. Now you gave a voice, a character, a personality to those names in the archive, and you continue doing great work now currently. Hey, I'm in Houston, man. If you're ever in my neck of the woods, I hope you realize you got a friend.
I appreciate it. I didn't know that's where you were, but I go down to the Tomball every once in a while. My brother's down there. My brother-in-law's down north.
Maybe some barbecue, maybe some taquerias, whatever you're up to, man. That'd be good. That'd be a good
right.
time. Also, so I want to wish you good luck, and I want to thank you and I'm sure our paths are going to cross quite a bit, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I'll see you at Team USA State. I'll see you at the state meet. So our paths will cross quite a bit. So I look forward to shaking your hand and meeting you many, many more times.
Yes, sir. Same here.
Appreciate you, and farewell, buddy. Farewell.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Wow, what a fascinating perspective. Keith Taylor had so much to offer, not only from his days as a championship student himself, but as a coach. What a wonderful perspective, and I have a feeling he's going to have many more years of productivity in the UIL world. All right, thank you very much for Keith Taylor for that. Good luck. Let me pause, and if you enjoy this sort of material, it would really help me out if you hit the subscription button and the notification bell, smash that like button, and make a comment below. Let's spread this joy, let's spread this beauty to as many people as possible. I really appreciate your support. I have many, many more wonderful and beautiful things in store for this channel. Thank you very much for your support. My name is Saul Cantu, and this is Texas Math Mundo. Farewell.